Good morning. We're live on YouTube on the Falcons Podcast. We're going to bring in our Facebook group, though. That is, let's see, what is it? It's Atlanta Falcons on SI. We just broke 27,000 strong over there. So once we get them in, we will get going. We've got a lot to get to on this Monday. It's definitely summer, hot Monday. Good morning, everybody. This is the Falcons Podcast. I am your host, Scott Kennedy. Nick Kendall will be joining me shortly. We've got a lot to go over today. It is 1 week or so until final cutdowns happen. Final preseason game of the season coming up against the Dallas Cowboys. And they had a lot going on last week with the joint practices with the Tennessee Titans and then the preseason game against the Titans. They lost 23-20. Score is a little bit academic at that point, but it is another loss. And we've learned a lot. There's a bunch of stuff we want to go over. So we'll get into it here in a second. But one of the reasons why we go live on Monday and Wednesday and now Tuesday and Thursday evenings too is because we like having the conversation with y'all. So I do want to say hello to some folks that were in here nice and early, like Dantes. Dantes is a little concerned. He says, our backup offensive line needs help. They look horrible to me, Scott, but rise up. Dantes, I don't think you're necessarily wrong here, but it's not even just the backup offensive line, Dantes. It's the backup to the backups. There's third team guys out there. So looking at my notes as I'm going through it, it's Caleb McGarry probably would have gotten a 2-year extension anyway, meaning he's under contract through 27, but it's guaranteed money. You're financially tied to him for 2025 and 2026. So 2 more years, and then you've got an option in 27. But Jack Nelson doesn't look even close to being ready, and he's not supposed to. He was a 7th-round pick, which is kind of either, hey, I'm going to find somebody either super fast or super productive, or a toolsy guy that I don't think isn't ready yet. And that's what you do. So you don't draft an offensive tackle in the 7th round hoping he's going to be ready this year. He's not. But I did think he looked a little better this week than last week. He moved up from, oh my God, no, to, okay, he was okay at times. That's an improvement, man. You know, week to week. He's not ready. That's okay. He's a 7th rounder, and he wasn't drafted to be ready. And then on the other side, at left tackle, you've got Eli Wilkinson. Eli Wilkinson's a guard. He is a solid reserve guard. At left tackle, with him at left tackle, and with Jack Nicholson at right tackle, it was a little scary. So Storm Norton not being out there is a miss. He is a really good reserve swing tackle, so he'd either be left or right. If both tackles go down, you're screwed, okay? But tell me which team isn't if you lose both of your offensive tackles. That's just part of it. We always say one of these tickers here at the bottom where it says YouTube Super Chats and Facebook Stars are blah, 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 a great way. What we also say is everything that we talk about can change with injury. You know, so a lot of it is most of the things we talk about are they hinge upon that these guys stay healthy. But I do like Storm Norton. I do like Eli Wilkinson as your 6th and 7th offensive lineman. Storm wasn't in there, and Eli was playing out of position. He was forced to. So, but I agree with you on what you saw this weekend. James, good morning from Naples. Hope you're doing well. Is it as hot down there as it's gotten up here? It's hot. It's gotten hot up here for us. Love Naples. Big fan of South Florida. Central Florida is just a shade too hot for me. My wife's from Orlando. Speaking of which, we've got our Ocala friend in here as well. So got a lot of Florida folks in here. How'd you end up Falcons fans coming down from Florida? Did you move down there? There's just not a lot of nationwide Falcons fans. It's not a real bandwagon team. You know, the Braves are like that a little bit, but the Falcons are kind of you kind of were born into it. So I'm wondering how y'all ended up in Falcons fans in Florida. But that's cool. I see a couple. I see Curtis coming in this morning, helping us out. He says, good morning, Scott and Nick. Lamar Jackson is horrible at corner, worried about the run defense, and I agree backup OL is worrisome. Yeah, and I'm not as worried about the backup OL because you do have a good third tackle, and you do have a good reserve line, interior lineman. Good, relatively speaking. They can come in and do a job. You know, they're not as good as the starters, or they'd be starters. And you didn't get to see those guys because it did look pretty rough out there. And Curtis, I want to show y'all something here about the run defense. Because you guys have heard me, and I put it in writing all the time, and I've said, yes, it's probably immature of me. to keep taking shots at last year's defense, but it was just so maddening. The 2-4-5 prevent defense that they ran last year. Well, Scott, what's a 2-4-5? All right, this is how the Falcons. Let me show. This was the first play that how the Falcons came out against. And sorry for those of you listening at home. I'll do my best to describe this. I mean, listening after the fact on the podcast, the audio version. But I've got a screenshot of the first play against the Titans out here. After pinning it, had a great punt and pinned the Titans down on the 6-yard line. They're in a tight formation. There's only one split out wide. And when I say 2-4-5, I mean 2 interior linemen. They're down there right now, and then 2 stand-up edge rushers. So you've got James Pierce Jr. and Ebiketie. One of the things here, though, is there's also 8 guys within the line of scrimmage, and the 2 safeties are only 10 yards, not even. They're about 9 yards off the line of scrimmage. And then Natron has about a 7-yard cushion outside. So there's 8 guys here relatively within 5 yards of the ball. I still don't like it, especially when you know that these guys, especially on first down, you know they want to try and run out of this. And they did. They ran right out of it. First they went 5 yards on first down, and they're not getting a ton of pressure with their front 4. But I want to show you the difference here because this was the first play, and I had to – you see how much wider it is. This is last year's Jimmy Lake defense, his 2-4-5 against the Denver Broncos last year. And you see the 4 guys up front, and then there's really only one other player that's within 5 yards of the ball, and it's actually – I think that's a nickel. I can't tell for sure who that is. But you've got Justin Simmons back here. How far away from the ball is he? 5, 10, 13 yards on an angle. So he's 15 yards away from the ball. You've got a 9-yard, you've got a 10-yard split off your corner here, a cushion off of your corner. So there's really only, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt and say 6, maybe 7, if you talk about one of this, within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage in a tight formation against a team that wants to try and establish a run. So I don't really like the 2-4-5, but you can see where that is the difference. When they're coming out that way, at least there's more bodies there. Second time out, the second possession, they went 3-4-5. They went back to a 3-4 with 3 down linemen, the 2 stand-up edges, so 5 across the front, and then the 2 inside linebackers. So yes, if I saw it, and I'm like rubbing my eyes. I'm like, they're on the 5-yard line against a quarterback that, and I know you're not trying to win. It's evaluation, but let's get a little pressure out there. But again, it is. I don't remember seeing that lineup again on 1st and 10 for the rest of the game. So it's like, okay, we'll try it. Yeah, it sucked last year. Let's mothball it. Let's not do that. On 2nd and 11, fine. But not on 1st and 10, because 1st and 10 then turns into 2nd and 4. And they were still out there last year. On 2nd and 11, after you win first down, fine. Then the base nickel out there, that's a passing down. Fine with that. So, but yes, I think there are definitely some concerns out there. Appreciate the super chat, Curtis, because there's still some worry there for sure. But when they run their 5-man front, I do like what I see. And then the other part of that is Caden Ellis and Divine Diablo aren't out there. So if I've got 5 guys occupying blockers, I've got 2 pretty fast linebackers now. JD Bertrand, God bless him, but he doesn't need to be on a field. He doesn't need to be playing inside linebacker, especially in a lot of space like that in the NFL. He's a backup guy, I guess, but he's just not fast enough to go sideline to sideline or trail guys on drag routes, that type of stuff, to be playing in space. He's just not fast enough to do it. And that's not his fault. If he happens to listen to this or family does, I'm not trying to hack on JD Bertrand. It's just, he's just not fast enough to play in that much space. If he's going to be out there, I need him attacking the line of scrimmage and run lanes. So want to move on to Justin Boyd. I started this question because this is actually part of my notes here. So Scott, is James Pierce Jr., is he better than Arnold Ebiketie? Yes. As a pass rusher, yes. I think he is already better than Arnold Ebiketie. Now, Arnold Ebiketie has gotten a couple of numbers out there, and I think that's also part of the rush by committee that you're seeing out there. But if you focus on Arnold Ebiketie, if he gets blocked, for the most part, he stays blocked. He's not beating his guys in a 1v1. That interception that Natron Brooks had, that was James Pierce Jr. coming off the edge against the left tackle. 1v1. They're going against the same caliber of guys, second teamers out there for Tennessee, and at times there were first teamers out there with Cam Ward. They don't want him getting killed behind a backup offensive line while you're trying to get him some snaps. But I think as a pass rusher, James Pierce Jr. is already better than Arnold Ebiketie, and there's no harm in saying that. That's not really a hot take. We're talking about a guy who was at one point projected to be a top 5 pick versus a second round pick. He should be better. James Pierce Jr., for what you invested into him, now there's only a 9 or 10 spots difference in where they were eventually drafted, but James Pierce Jr. should be better. And yes, I do think he is better right now than, let me see what that was. Okay, just making sure since Nick isn't in here yet. I got a ping on my phone. Make sure it's not him texting me, hey, let me in. I do think he is already better than James Pierce Jr., at least rushing the passer. Let me see. I'm going to go through some of the hellos that we've got here, and then we'll get into some of my notes and some of your questions for sure. Actually, I'll hit your questions on the way down. That's just kind of how I do it. Denver, look, good morning. Hope you are doing well. Bucks, Rays, Bolts is in here, very active. Good morning. And Bucks, Rays, Bolts, I'll tell you, there's some of the questions you have I just don't have answers for. As far as the matchups and that type of stuff against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I don't know the Bucks well enough yet. I've been focusing on the Falcons and some of the other teams I cover, but I've been kind of laser focused on who's going to make this 53. How can they get better? Are they going to be better before really focusing? So I don't really know, what are the best matchups. I think that the offenses are still going to have advantages. That's about as deep as I can go into it, that the Tampa Bay offense is going to be really good. And we still have questions about how good the Falcons defense can be on that. But I hope you are doing well. Austin, he's got a pretty good question about the other edge rusher. Good morning, Austin. He says, am I the only one worried about Walker now? Another injury in camp. Definitely like how much better the defense is looking under the new scheme. Yeah, they're certainly more aggressive. That's why that 2-4 they came out with, and that's drive only stalled because Tennessee's not a very good team, and a penalty set them back, which is, to be fair, that's what you're hoping for when you play that scheme. You're hoping for, when you've got them on the 5, can they play mistake-free football for 70 yards? And you're gambling they can't. However, when I can run it right up the middle for 6 yards, it makes it real easy to play mistake-free football. So worried about Walker a little bit, yeah. How much is he really going to contribute early in the season? I don't know. I told y'all last week when he was banged up a little bit, I was surprised that he played. He played. Now he's banged up a little bit more again. So hold him out. That's fine. If he's nursing a couple leg injuries, I think it's a hamstring and or a groin, hold him out. That's fine. What's interesting, though, is how many snaps James Pierce Jr. are getting between practice and the games. He's taking more snaps on defense than anybody. So he's getting in plenty of work. And I am a little bit worried about how quickly Jalen Walker is going to be able to contribute because, he's not necessarily a full-time edge. He still needs to kind of learn it on the fly a little bit. Saw him out in California. Hope you're doing well. It says, good morning, Scott and Nick on the Falcons podcast. John Harrell, hope you're doing well. Mad Scientist is here as well. Philip, good morning. Good morning. Hope you're doing well. Says, I just want to say I'm tired of seeing Lamar Jackson in my team's jersey. Yeah, I felt like they were playing him almost like a cover 3 corner at times. Cover 2 is you're up tighter and it's press and release, which you kind of want to do with a physical guy. But he was playing really deep. Some of the plays he made in camp and even in games, it's almost like he's playing a safety, almost like a deep third. And with his size and stuff, that's good. That's where you want him because I don't want him trailing wide receivers across the field. But yeah, I think it's tough. I think he's going to have a tough time making this roster. So I understand that. I'm looking at the grades, and JD Bertrand was the second lowest graded player on defense behind Mike Ford. And then Lamar Jackson was the fourth lowest by PFF at a 42. So when I say I use PFF as a guide, like if I watch 5 guys and I think, okay, this is what I think about these 5, and then I look over at PFF and it's pretty close, now I know, okay, I like whoever is grading them. I think they're doing a good job. What do they say about this guy? So I kind of trust but verify type of thing, but I think he's going to have a tough time making this team. We'll see. We will see. Connor, this is a very common question. Scott, by Atlanta I'm Scott. By not playing any starters, does this concern you? This is a new quarterback with an offense that's unproven. I think Atlanta walking on eggshells by not playing their starters will get us off to a slow start. Of all, Raheem Morris has changed in this. He didn't play anybody last year that was really being counted on as a contributor as far as starters and stuff go. And then this year, all the defensive guys are playing. The guys that are inexperienced that aren't playing, I can count them on one finger. It's Michael Penix Jr. And he does have some experience, and they did turn him loose. He took a ton of reps in the joint practices. It's not the same as game times when you're managing the clock and that type of stuff. It's still not quite the same, but they did get a lot of work in joint practices, and they will continue to get a lot of work moving forward. So am I concerned? Not as much on offense. While you say it's unproven, I don't necessarily agree with that. I think Michael Penix has 3 games under his belt. He's inexperienced, but the rest of the offense is certainly proven. You know, the least experienced guy out there might be Bijan Robinson. When we talk about, Ryan Newsel maybe, and he's a third-year guy. So everybody out there is a veteran. When you go across, Drake's in his 4th year as a starter. Jake Matthews, enough said. Matthew Bergeron, 3rd year as a starter. Ryan Newsel started 8 games last year. Chris Lindstrom, Caleb McGarry, Ray McLeod, Kyle Pitts. Lots of experience back there. So, and then they were the number 6 in total offense. Just need to clean it up in the red zone a little bit, and we'll see. But I agree that you get better by playing. I would like to see them play a couple of series in the final game, but I don't think we're going to. But I'm not overly concerned about it. I'm not going to raise hell about it. If all these guys on defense in a new system, young guys weren't playing, I'd be raising hell about that for sure. But I like what I see with who's getting. We see Billy Bowman, we see Xavier Watts, saw Morgan Fox out there in a new system. The only guys we aren't seeing are your stalwarts that are veterans. Jesse Bates, I don't need to see him. Caden Ellis, I'm okay if he doesn't play. David Onyemata, I'm okay if he doesn't play. AJ Terrell, I'm okay if he doesn't play. Everybody else is in there. Getting in work. Let me see here. And Kiara has a question. She says, do you think they start the first team for a quarter? No, and I don't think so. I don't think you see any of the first team offense. Defense, other than the guys that I mentioned, yeah, we have been seeing them, and I think you'll see them again for a lot of the first half against the Cowboys. But on offense, no, I don't think you're going to see any of them, any of the starters. Even the number 1 backup is in street clothes and Tyler Algier. So, I don't think we're going to see any of those guys. Carrie, great to see you this morning. Hope you're doing well. Good morning, Scott and Nick. Excited to talk Falcons football this morning. Well, good. I'm glad you are here. And she has a follow-up comment on me talking about the offensive line depth. So it's true about the O-line depth, but that's honestly most teams' problem. Exactly. That and backup quarterback, right? Hopefully everyone stays healthy. Plus Storm Norton wasn't out there. But yeah, Wilkinson, 2 first-half penalties, and he's a vet. He's not a tackle, though. He played – if y'all remember, in 2021, Jalen Mayfield was graded as the worst. And I'm not blaming him for this either, because he was a right tackle who had 14 career starts in college. And he gets drafted in the top of the 3rd round and plugged in as a starter right away. And he was graded the worst offensive lineman in football. The worst. Chris Lindstrom, that the next year was the best player in football. Well, Jalen Mayfield was the worst. 2022 comes around, and Eli Wilkinson started 11 games in that spot. And he was a considerable, not the bar was set low, but Eli Wilkinson played well at guard that season for the Falcons. And yes, nobody has legit depth on the offensive line. Just like, oh, who's going to be backup quarterback? It doesn't matter. I mean, it does. But for the most part, if you lose your starter, you're done in this league. There's not a whole lot of teams. Well, what about? I don't play whatabouts. I don't play exception to the rule. The rule is your backup quarterback is a clipboard holder who can help you see things out there. But the offensive line the same way. It's good to have a little depth. And like I said, if I think you can go serviceable with Storm Norton and Eli Wilkinson, I think you're okay. But yes, everybody has depth problems on that side of the ball for sure. For sure, Kerry. Hope you're doing well. Sam, morning, Scott. Well, we have joint practices with Dallas this week ahead of the game. I think they just call it different. They call it training camp versus preseason practice because my training camp schedule ended last week. I'm like, well, what about this week? Because I thought the Falcons were going back down to Miami for joint practices again, which we all go, no, we don't want to see that. That's what I thought was still happening. I've checked a calendar. Maybe somebody can help me out with that while we're doing it. But I thought the Falcons were going back down to Miami for a couple of joint practices before the season starts. But that doesn't make any sense. Why would you go down to Miami if you're not playing in Miami? So help me out with this one here, y'all. You can, and I'll highlight you in the comments. But there aren't any joint practice. I don't think there's any joint practices in Dallas. I don't remember hearing that one. But we go live, and sometimes you can miss stuff. You can misremember stuff when you're live. So hopefully someone in the comments will help me out, and we'll get on that one. Jack has a good question here. Let me take a slug of coffee. Cheers to you. Get your Lion Coffee, lioncoffee.com. They're not official sponsor, but they still power this podcast. Because how many edges make this team? Walker, James Pierce Jr., Leonard Floyd, Ebiketie, Trice. Yes, those five. Those five feel like locks. Kareem didn't even dress, which is interesting. And Malone is a special teams ace. And Jack Malone's also been playing more at inside linebacker. Now, here's a question. I just watch him play. He plays like his hair's on fire. He's really good on special teams. He's been playing inside linebacker because I think knowing this is a problem, we can't keep him at edge. He can't make this team as an edge, which I'm not sure I agree with anyway, but they've been playing him at inside linebacker. And when I said, I'm not sure, I posted during the game from my Falcons SI X account. I don't know if he makes this team, but if I was a general manager of another team looking for help in one of these spots, he might be my first call. And Scott Karasik, who's also very active on X, says, hot take here, but I'd take him over Bertrand. I went, that is an interesting take. And I agree with him. Bertrand has more experience at inside linebacker, but I'd rather have talent than experience if talent is working hard. I would rather have, let's say, I don't know, is Troy Anderson ever going to get healthy? If he's not, I'm going to need a third one anyway. I would rather have D'Angelo Malone as my fourth linebacker. I don't want J.D. Bertrand as my third either. Then I would rather have J.D. Bertrand. And Malone gives you much more on special teams. That might be how he makes this team as a third/fourth inside linebacker. So keep an eye on that, Jack. It's not out of the question at this point. There's no guarantee that Bertrand even makes this team here. Let me see here. Mad Scientist, good to see you. He says, I used to go to Windward Passage on Estero Island, Fort Myers, for like 15 years. I went to Fort Myers for the first time a couple of weeks ago for a tournament. Went over to Sanibel Island, right? Went over there and had some dinner a couple times. Nice place. And Ron, he moved to Florida in 2024. I figured 2004. There's not a lot of Falcons fans outside of, again, you don't get the bandwagon hoppers. I don't know about y'all, but when I was in middle school, people were wearing Bo Jackson, Las Vegas, Oakland Raiders jerseys and Miami Hurricanes stuff when I was in middle and high school. It just a lot of transplants in this city, and they don't usually move out too often of Georgia once they get here because it's a great place. Why would you leave? Michael Dubb, good to see you. Says morning, almost time. Harry Marshall Wood, hope you're doing well. It says, hope Nick is just busy today, not feeling well. Yeah, I don't know where Nick is. I don't remember him telling me he wasn't going to be here, but I plan like, minute to minute. So he could have told me a month ago. Oh, remember I told you a month ago? No, I don't. I don't remember a month ago. You got to tell me like the night before, or I'm not going to remember it. Let me see here. Going back down through some of the comments here. Smooth C78. Morning, Scott and Nick. It says he offers up the coffee emoji. I'll drink to that. And Jimmy Ragsdale, I don't think we really got into this because all this happened on Wednesday. So we did our Wednesday morning podcast, and I basically said the Falcons dominated the Titans. They embarrassed them. The Titans were embarrassed, and they came out. I guarantee you, they had their manhood challenged during the 24 hours that led up to the next practice. And yes, there were some fights, and yes, that's okay. Nobody's really getting hurt. Keep your helmets on, guys. Don't do anything overly stupid, and it's just blowing off some steam to a certain extent. Now, you don't want it to get in the way of getting your reps in, but as we said before, when James Pierce Jr. was getting in scraps with Caleb McGarry and Matthew Bergeron, and those were breaking out, he didn't even miss a rep. They didn't take him out of the game. They don't mind that type of stuff. And I promise you, the Titans coaches put that on the Titans team, saying, y'all better get out there and fight if you don't want to be embarrassed again, for sure. Gucci Danucci, Sam, did this just come out? Says, we just signed Ben DiNucci. The only reason I know who that is because he played for the Broncos when I was doing the Broncos podcast. Ben Gucci DiNucci was a 3rd/4th team quarterback who saw a little time, I believe, with the Dallas Cowboys. And I don't know if that's what that says about Easton Stick. Because I'm sorry, not Easton Stick. Apologies. Emory Jones. He kind of got his eggs scrambled a little bit at the end of that game on that 4th and 2. So it wouldn't surprise me if he's got some concussion symptoms or some layover from that last hit on Friday night. If Ben DiNucci was signed, because it's like, well, why would you sign another one? We hear this about the safeties all the time. Why are you signing another safety? You need 4 quarterbacks to run camp. You need like 8 safeties to run camp. So he's coming in he's not doing anything. Come in and help us out. And we're going to give you a couple $1,000. Okay. I've got the 2 weeks to do it. He is not a threat to make this team. Easton Stick is. Easton Stick, if they decide to keep 3, it's Easton Stick. Ben is coming in. This is legit, Sam. I got no reason to think it's not coming from you. Ben will come in as a 4th guy, and he is a camp arm that is coming in to help run practices for a couple of weeks. But yeah, I watched him in preseason with the Broncos, and he's a guy. I mean, he's a guy who's made some money on this, being able to hang around the league for a little bit. So appreciate you, Sam. Hopefully one of my guys is on that right now, because that's news. We got to get it up on falconssi.com. Rusty coming in, he says, Walker dealt with a shoulder injury a few months ago, then a hammy, now a groin. That and the fact our defensive line is going to get run on and cornerbacks 2 through 5 scares me bad. There are questions. There are answers. There's multiple answers here. Doesn't mean we're going to come up with the right one at some point. Cornerback is an under-invested aspect of this team. Let me see, because I looked it up the other day, and I think A.J. Terrell was the last corner the Falcons drafted in day 1 or 2, 1st, 2nd, or 3rd rounds. And what was A.J. Terrell, 2020? So it's been 5 years, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 5 drafts since the Falcons have used a day 1 or 2 draft pick at cornerback. Rusty, I mean, you kind of get what you pay for, right? So you've gone with some cheaper free agents, a trade here or there for what was the former Detroit guy they got? Jeff O. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. They swapped a low pick for him, and he played in 2023, I think. You've got Mike Hughes. You brought in Mike Ford. But the Lamar Jacksons of the world, you kind of get what you pay for. They haven't had a corner selected in day 1 or 2 since AJ Terrell. That, again, you get what you pay for on that one. The DL is going to get run on. I'm not so sure about that. We'll see. When they go 5-man fronts, Zach Harrison looks great out there. We haven't seen David Onyemata yet. And when I run out Leonard Floyd and or Braylon Trice, 275-pound stand-up edge, Arnold Ebiketie, James Pierce Jr. with Rook, Onyemata, and Zach Harrison, and then I back them with Caden Ellis and Divine Diablo, I think you might be okay against the run. And then you've got some decent depth behind them. In Taquan, Brandon Dorless. Who else is back there? Street should probably make this team. I'm not sure if London will, but Contavious Street will. And I'm forgetting somebody else too, I'm sure. That I think you got a chance there. But with Walker, yeah, am I worried? Like, oh, is he going to be a bust? No. Am I worried that we might not see the best of him this year? Yeah, I am. That's a long-term thing, though. So, like I said, we'll see on those. Let's see. AJ says, which veteran players are in trouble of possibly missing on the 53-man roster? That's a good question. And there are a couple guys that I want to see make it. I just don't know if there's going to be room, and that doesn't always happen. I put one of them on the cover here. Y'all want to see Nathan Carter make this team? I do. We haven't seen much of, and I get the two, the running back and the receiver. I get their names mixed up all the time. We haven't seen the running back. Is that Carlos Washington or is Carlos the wide receiver? I get their names mixed up, but we haven't seen him. And Nathan Carter took advantage of his spot, his burst, his speed to the hole, making him tough, making him a tackle breaker as well. I want to see Nathan Carter on this team, but are they going to keep 4 running backs or is he a good third? And then at wide receiver 5-6 is going to be very interesting out there with Chris Blair has looked good. Dylan Drummond has looked good. Nick Nash has looked good. David Sills has looked good, but you've got to figure 4 are locked and they only took 5 last year. And Kyle Pitts has taken wide receiver snaps. But 4 are locked. So what happens? Where does Darnell start? You expect Darnell to make the 53, even if I don't think they're going to have to pup him or IR him for 4 weeks. I think he'll be back before then. Full 5 weeks off should be okay for him because he got hurt like on the very first day of camp. But will he be ready to go full speed? But otherwise, Drake, Ray, Darnell, Kaderl Hodge are your 4. And then can you slide 2 more in there that are playing really, really well? On the other side of the ball, I think JD Bertrand, I think he's in a little bit of trouble. I think D. Alford might be in a little bit of trouble as well, though I don't see Clark Phillips and D. Alford both making this team. So I haven't seen a whole lot of Clark out there in the camp. Now, if I'm checking, I'm pretty sure he was out. I'm like, why haven't I seen him? Yeah, I didn't see him. He didn't play at all. 26 players played on defense. And if I'm looking at this right, my memory said I don't remember seeing him. And just glancing through PFF's grades and snap counts, he's not on there. So I think Clark might be in a little bit of trouble too. He might not have a spot. So those are some of the guys. Maybe that's what I just heard. John says, I sent you some pictures via email. Good. I want to see some of those. Dragster pictures out there. Let me see here. Eric says, good to see you, Eric. He says, how bad do you think Baker Mayfield will make errors feeling pressure from James Pierce? James Pierce certainly forced Cam Ward into one, didn't he? And that was the play I was talking about earlier about how even last year when the Falcons were racking up some decent numbers in sacks after the bye week, they said, we got to get some pressure. It was through forced pressures. It was through blitzing, which leaves you exposed on the backside. It wasn't through a 4-man front. The most dangerous defenses in the world are the ones that can rush 4. All of this Vic Fangio genius stuff. Oh, yeah, it's real genius. My front 4 kicks your offensive line's ass, and I drop 7 in a coverage. Genius. Who would have ever thought of that? The Falcons now are hoping to have some guys that can get pressure with the front 4. And James Pierce Jr. looks like one of those guys. You know who else has been one of those guys in camp? Leonard Floyd. Leonard Floyd, I don't expect him to – I don't want to see him on 1st and 10. I don't mind seeing Braylon Trice out there on 1st and 10, in rundowns. Let him run 1st and 10, and then let's bring in James Pierce Jr. and Leonard Floyd on 2nd and long. Leonard Floyd he was killing the Titans, and he's been a problem for the Falcons too. So Leonard Floyd could be that designated pass rush guy that can help. How many mistakes is Baker going to make? Probably not as many as mistakes as we're going to see in the defensive backfield. I have a feeling it's going to be a high-scoring game again on that. But we'll see. We'll see. We're not too far away from it, but I think the offenses are definitely ahead of the defenses right now for both teams. Terry, I agree with you here. Terry says that Blair kid just keeps making plays. We always think these guys will make our 53, but I don't see any way this guy doesn't at least get a practice squad spot. Excuse me. The thing to remember, y'all, and it doesn't – there's not a lot of changing of teams because most everybody wants to keep the guys in camp with them. But you have to remember, to get to the practice squad, you have to pass through waivers first. So when I do my 53, all of those guys are eligible that you cut are eligible to sign somewhere else. I think 24 hours goes by, and then you're allowed to sign them to your practice squad. I want Chris Blair around. I want Nick Nash around, and I want who am I forgetting here? Drummond. Dylan Drummond around. I want Nathan Carter around. I want D'Angelo Malone around. On the other side, on the back side of that, with the corners and safeties, I feel good about the 4. Helms, Bates, Xavier Watts, Jordan Fuller, maybe. If he doesn't play a whole lot, it won't break my heart. But corner's a problem. And I highlighted that just a few minutes ago with the lack of investment in the cornerback room. You know, you've got AJ Terrell was a first-round pick, and he is a locked-in starter over there. There's some people who don't particularly like him, but he is at least a better-than-average player in the NFL, no matter how much you dislike him. If you say he's not, then you're just wrong. He is at least an average or better starter. Hughes, we'll see. I think he's okay, but there's not a lot of quality depth behind him, and you don't necessarily expect it. At the nickel spot, Billy Bowman will be I just mentioned Trice up front on first downs against the run. That's where Billy Bowman should definitely be playing. He should definitely be playing in the nickel on first downs. If you're going to go out there in a like a 3-3-5 nickel, then he needs to be out there because he's good against a run. He's sideline to sideline, lateral speed, closing down on the wide stuff. It's really good. But I don't know that D. Alford and Clark Phillips both make this team. We will see. Kerry says that Judon is meeting with the Dolphins today, and from Jordan Schultz, and the expectation is both sides are they going to get a deal. Okay, that's good. Judon wasn't very good for the Falcons. I said it last year. I've said it a bunch. The personnel could actually be worse. I don't think it is after the huge investment that they've made in the defense with the draft. But the personnel could be worse, but the defense will be better. Is Xavier Watts or Jordan Fuller going to be an upgrade over who Justin Simmons is as a player? Maybe not right away, but Justin Simmons wasn't very good last year for the Falcons because he wasn't put in position to be good. Same with Judon. Judon wasn't very good. So improving the play from those positions won't be all that difficult for Jeff Ulbrich, even if the players themselves aren't necessarily as good of players. What I mean by that is Jimmy Lake was bad. Jeff Ulbrich is better. I would have liked to have seen Jeff Ulbrich with Judon, with Simmons back there last year. Would have liked to have seen that, and then move those guys forward. Maybe they're back. Maybe I got Simmons back for $5 million this year instead of Jordan Fuller. But I do like Leonard Floyd. I am happy. I am happy with that. Michael, good to see you. Hope you are doing well. Let's see. I'm about 15 minutes behind in the chat, so I'm going to actually scroll down here and then work my way back up so we get to say hello to some folks before I run out of time here before my voice gives out. Carrie's got good questions, beginning, middle, and end. Is Morgan Fox a vet at risk of not making this roster? That is something we brought up last week when I saw him in there in the third quarter, and that was his first snaps. He's out there with the guys. If he wasn't playing, I'd feel better about it. Oh, he's a vet. He's David Onyemata. He doesn't need about it. Here's Leonard Floyd. Leonard Floyd's not playing out there. He's making this roster. But Morgan Fox has been playing, but he's been going out there with third teamers. What they are doing, always say, what do you do, not what you say, leads me to believe that he's no sure thing to make this roster. Now, what is his money? Let me look him up real quick. Not that they're afraid to eat a little dead money, because I don't think it's huge money. But Morgan Fox, yeah, he doesn't have enough money to be guaranteed a spot. He's got guaranteed of $3 million guaranteed. So his dead cap would be $3 million if they were to move on from him, which you don't want to do that, but it's not astronomical. It's $3 million. Would you rather, it's like, oh, sorry, Taquan, I know you're a better player, but we don't want to take the $3 million cap hit. No, I don't think $3 million is enough, especially at that position to do that. Yes, I think Morgan Fox is in a little bit of danger. I'd be surprised, but again, the Falcons surprise me all the time. I'd be surprised if he doesn't make the roster. And again, Kerry, Falcons fans, he played pretty well against the Titans. He had a quick burst, again, playing on that 3-4 end. He had a quick burst with a swim move where he cut inside and made a tackle for a loss, and then Trice came in and cleaned it up. I'm like, okay, that's one of those eyebrows going up into my forehead type of thing. But I expect him, but I won't be totally surprised by the repetitions, where he's showing up in the pecking order of when they play. Follows up by saying, who do you expect to be the starting safety along JB3? Week 1, I still expect it to be Jordan Fuller. Do I think Helms is ahead of Watts right now? Yes, I do. Would I rather have DeMarco Helms out there than Fuller or Watts for week 1? Yes, I would. What do I think is going to happen? Xavier Watts was drafted to be the starter. Does that happen? Right now, he's behind a little bit. That's okay. Safety is a head game. It's a recognition and then react. And that takes some time to learn and to grow into that. It's not a freak athlete type of position. In fact, the freak athletes at safety fail miserably if they don't know how to play football. There's a couple freak athletes that do, and they're Hall of Famers. But 4.6 at safety is better than 4.4 for a guy that doesn't know what he's doing. Xavier Watts, he doesn't know what he's doing yet, and that's okay. He's a rookie. Jordan Fuller knows what he's doing, but he's not doing a whole lot. DeMarco Helms makes a statement out there for sure. He makes a statement out there for sure. I know this guy. He's going to show up for a couple of minutes at least. So, yeah. Nick, how are you doing this morning? He's going to come in and close us out. Nick, say goodbye to everybody.
Yeah, goodbye. No, I have no idea where my phone is. The little guy, he had a rough weekend. Thursday had a fever. Thursday and Friday had a fever. And last night he was up from 12:30 to 4 o'clock. So my phone is somewhere. I woke up to him crying again at 6:10, and I was like, what the heck? And I sprinted down here. So this is just fear on my face. No coffee driven on this one. It's been a long time since that happened, but I'm like digging, can't find my phone. I'm like, F it. So here I am. Yeah, doing well. Good to see Harry Marshall. Carrie's in the house. Great to see you. I almost missed the show too, Trenton, but we didn't. What's the topic? Falcons, Easton Stick, not the best game. Titans looked a little bit more, competent, but the joint practice probably more valuable considering how the Falcons are treating preseason. But it's still preseason. I'm not too worried about it.
But yeah, Trenton, good to see the topic. We're talking about, we're going into 53s and guys that are playing well and what we think. Our last one was, is Morgan Fox in danger of not making this team? He came in, Nick, and he's only got $3 million of guaranteed money. Yeah. But the playing rotation tells me that he's not guaranteed to make this team based on when he's going into games. He's working with the third units really on the defensive line. So I think he is there. And, what were just real quick from the game, give me like 2 of your top takeaways, things you're like, okay, that's what I like seeing, or a player or whatnot from the game on Friday.
As much as we're excited about Pierce, Ebiketti's still a guy. I thought Ebiketti looked pretty good out there. It only had 1 pressure, but I think that he's still your alpha on that pass rush unit. We need to still see reality from Walker and Pierce play out. So Ebiketti is a big one for me. Other than that, I like a lot of, we said it before, we said it last time, I'm afraid to get hoodwinked on it, but the defensive line depth, there's a lot of guys that can get after it. So excited about all of them. Final one is Easton Stick. It's fine out there, but I'm excited to see Penix actually sling the football because it's just like you watch it and it's just like,
yeah,
it's a water
when I'm
gun
watching this game and taking notes, they're almost all on offense.
Yeah.
Defense, apologies. They're almost all on defense. I'm like, there's actually stuff that's going to translate in defense to what we're going to see. Where offense, maybe we're talking about like, will these guys make the roster? That's what we're talking about. Chris Blair, Nathan Carter. Nick, I love Nathan Carter. I love the way he runs the ball. And the speed that he's got, and then ability also, to cut through the trash, meaning you're not getting tripped up as you're going through the line of scrimmage. He can actually keep his balance with that speed and break through tackles. I like him a lot. Would like to see him out there. And when we talk about, people getting banned and stuff, it's not for disagreeing, because Nick and I disagree all the time. So Nick, I started the show with one of the where is the start comments? Damn it. I started with, this was one of the first questions I took, because Justin asked, he said, is Scott, is he better than Ebiketti? Is James Pierce Jr. better than Ebiketti? And from my point of view, Nick, I said, as a pass rusher, I think he is already. I think he is, because when I focus on Ebiketti, when he's blocked, he stays blocked.
Yeah.
He's not beating his guys, and that was a problem they had last year. They couldn't get any pressure with 4 guys. But that turnover came because James Pierce Jr. went a speed rush on the outside of the left tackle. He beat his guy 1v1, and that hasn't happened a whole lot. So I think Ebiketti is probably overall the better player. Because he knows what he's doing out there. Like James Pierce is out there with, he's out there for 50 snaps and 4 tackles. So he's kind of a one-trick pony right now. But if your one trick is, I'm the best pass rusher on the team, you're going to make $30 million.
The Nick Benito special.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I think Pierce probably give it 4 games. Really get his teeth ground down a little bit, and we'll have a conversation again. But Ebiketti is more well-rounded right now. It's Pierce is definitely, obviously, when Scott, you and I have kind of more of a scout eye than anything, and we're looking for the traits. The traits are obvious, right? Like Pierce is a more traitsy player than Ebiketti. The reason that he went in the first round still, despite some of the stuff.
That's exactly what I said. I'm like, it's not a hot take to say that Pierce is a better pass rusher than him right now. There's a reason why he was being talked about as a possible top 5 pick, and Ebiketti was a second rounder. He should be. Now I'll learn their craft a little bit. Another good question here. And B-side, I see you in here too. I want to get to you as well. He says, do you think that Troy Anderson will get cut since he can't seem to stay healthy ever? I don't think they have to cut him. They'll just pup him. They'll IR him until he won't get another contract. So, he's not all that expensive, and they'll just keep him around, and then if he leaves a free agent, maybe you get a comp pick for something. I doubt it, because he probably won't sign for hardly anything because he can't stay healthy. But it's such a shame on that one. Because he's a 10. He's a 10 relative athletic score. When I'm looking for game-changing players, Troy Anderson has that physical ability, but he's not on the field, and that's why Devine is there, and that's why Devine, who might have missed 2 games in 5 years or something like that, he's been available, is a significant upgrade over Nate Landman and JD Bertrand with his athleticism. So that's an underappreciated signing And it cost us a comp pick in Atlanta here. So it better be. When Drew Dahlman signed his big money, it was canceled out by Divine Diablo's signing. So that comp pick that you would have gotten is now Divine Diablo. So he needs to be a guy this year.
Yeah, projected wise, at least, Scott. We don't know the.
Yeah, it's
the
not
NFL.
It's not 100%, but
yeah,
the people that do these things for a living have both said,
yeah,
you're not getting a comp pick because Divine Diablo canceled out Drew Dahlman.
Yep. Shout out to Nick Corti. Does good work. ATL Jet Jones 11 says, good morning, Scott and Nick. Regular season coming quick. Yeah, it is right around the corner here. September 4th, I think, is the first game. That's a Thursday night. So, yeah, that'll be here before you know it. So excited for that. Get your fantasy football drafts in. I will be targeting Drake London. Excited for that. Hopefully get him round 2. We'll see. But that's my strategy this year. But, yeah, no, it is right around the corner, and we're going to be here. Hopefully not with a sick kid. So I'm here. I have no idea where my phone is, Scott. That gives me the heebie-jeebies. I wanted to text you, but nope, no time for that. I can still catch the end. So good to see it. Thank you, ATL Jet Jones.
Yeah, and Jimmy, have a good one. You got to run. All right, it's about 9:30, so we're not going to be too much longer in here either. I want to run through my notes real quick, just to see what I didn't miss. One was play calling. What the hell are the Titans doing running a wide receiver screen on 3rd and 13? That ended their first drive after a holding penalty. Hesitation kills. Remember last year, y'all, for you long timers, we talked about every time I saw Kirk Cousins hesitate, it was like, no, just take a sack. No, it was bad. That's what Easton Stick did. You know, he's looking left, pumps it. Well, that just gives everybody a step when you go that way, and then follow through. Just eat that one too. The second defensive possession, Nick, I showed these two screenshots when we first started. So if you've come in late, we'll see them again. They came out in the 2-4, the 2-4-5. Yeah, I guess that's what it is. I have to count them up. 2 defensive linemen, 2 stand-up edges, and then 2 inside linebackers, and then 5 defensive backs. But look, there's 8 guys here within the box. And then the 2 safeties are within 10 yards of the line of scrimmage, 10 yards of the line of scrimmage. And then even Natron has an 8 yards cushion on the other side. Whereas I had to go much, much wider for that same formation against a tight bunch formation against the Denver Broncos for the first play of their game, where you see there's 6, maybe 7 guys within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage. And really not even, because Caden's 6 yards off. And then, way back here on the very left, you might not even see him back there standing on the 43-yard line is Justin Simmons. Now, we talk about why did Justin Simmons not have a good, a very good season. He was playing punt returner most of the year back here. And when he had to make a tackle, I mean, who's within 10 yards of Justin Simmons? He was wide open spaces against, world-class athletes. That's tough. So I don't want to see the 2-4-5 on 1st and 10 ever again, but at least 1, they went right out of it. And 2, there were still more bodies closer to the line of scrimmage to help make up for the lack of size.
Yeah, definitely more condensed. Also, some of that might be the effect of your point you made earlier about how unathletic and problematic, Landman and Bertrand were, and having Diablo in there now with Ellis gives you a little bit more ability to recover from being closer to the line of scrimmage. So we'll see how it translates. That Titans team is problematic probably this season. But yeah, overall, you did still see it. Was that first down in that first clip?
That was the first. Well? Those were both the first plays of offensive series for both teams.
Okay. So we're keeping an eye on it. Obviously, again, it's been a big drum I've been beating here on the show about the Falcons' run defense needs to be better, because otherwise you're not going to be able to see Walker and Pierce fully utilized. So will be worth following. And overall, I mean, preseason game, I don't ever get too high or too low on it. Like right now, going to have to be a wet blanket over in the Broncos one because everybody's really excited. Nick, you're defending Jimmy Lake's D. I just think at the end of the day, I'm a more of a Jimmy's and Joe's versus X and O's person, and the Falcons defense was missing a lot of pieces, but obviously Jimmy Lake wasn't good enough. They lacked mentality. They didn't tackle well. There's plenty of blame to go around.
No, I was a IT manager for a long time, and you'd work in troubleshooting. And in order to troubleshoot, you need to figure out what is, if this doesn't work, nothing else is going to work, right?
Mhm.
So yes, I might have engine problems, but it doesn't matter because all four wheels are off the car. I can't go anywhere anyway. So I stop it. I try and give the players the benefit of the doubt when I say that, the Falcons quarterback play wasn't good in 2023. That wasn't just Desmond Ridder. Arthur Smith did not do a good job with him. Justin Simmons did not play well. Matthew Judon did not play well because they weren't put in position to make plays. Now, they may be washed. They may be old and not good anymore. I don't know that because the wheels were off the car. They weren't put in position to make any plays, so I didn't know. But as B-Side says, and it's still a concern, because, okay, now you've changed the defensive coordinator to somebody competent. We got the wheels on the car. Crap. The engine's locked up now. Now we got to work up our way up to, okay, what's the next link in the chain that we need to make sure is solid? And B-Side Rap Review says, I'm scared that Jimmy Lake wasn't the actual problem. Play calling wasn't as big of an issue as scheme, busted coverages, and putting players in bad positions, which falls on the head coach. No, I think it does fall on the head coach. I agree with you. As a first-time head coach in a long time, allowing your coordinators to coordinate, I think there's two big mistakes that Raheem made where I don't think he was assertive enough last year, where he gave his guys too much leeway. Jimmy Lake 1, Kirk Cousins 2. I think a second-year Raheem Morris would go back and say, okay, I'm more confident in this job. Now, they grow too, guys. These are people who second-guess themselves all the time. Would take more advantage, would take the defense sooner from Jimmy Lake and would have yanked Kirk Cousins sooner last year. Those are two that I think he probably looks back and say, if I could do it again, I would. And Jeff Ulbrich has it's a totally different flavor, attitude, energy of the defense that they learned. They learned, Nick.
Yep, absolutely. Well, I do need to, sorry I'm not here long, but I do need to hop over to the Broncos stuff and get myself some coffee as well, now that the adrenaline from waking up and see my clock say 6:13. But sorry, a little bit late. Hopefully the little guy sleeps better. Yeah, he did not have a fun weekend. But
we're glad to see you. It's kind of, what was the word? I use it all the time now from Coach Carter. We don't see Julian Battle very often, but it's kind of like the Halley's Comet. It doesn't happen very often, but when he does, it's really special. So Nick, thank you for stopping in quickly. And y'all get out of here and I'll say some goodbyes here. But Breon in IT, you call it root cause. Yeah, I my first desktop management job, it was with Lotus. Do you remember old Lotus? And they said, how would you troubleshoot the refrigerator? I was like, well, first I want to check the outlet to see if it's got power. If it doesn't have power, then there's nothing wrong with the refrigerator. Maybe. You got to find out. The refrigerator still could be screwed, but without power, I won't know. Without these guys being put in position to make plays, I don't know if they're any good or not, was what I went to. Thank you. Is it Daryl or Darrell on this one? G.A. Doc. Casey and Carlos are the ones I get confused all the time. Carlos is the running back that we haven't seen. Casey is the wide receiver, and Casey's making this team too. If I forgot somebody, it was him, because he was called out almost like this was a rhetorical. Who has stepped up in the absence of Darnell Mooney? And Raheem Morris looked at everybody and says, "You already know the answer to this question. Is Casey Washington?" So yes, I think he's 5. So hopefully, those of you typing angry comments afterwards, you forgot Casey Washington. You're right, I did. That was who I forgot. On that one, but Clark, we'll see if he gets in there. He's got an injury, but he hasn't. I don't know that he's going to make this team. I really don't. It's not like he was a locked-in starter to begin with. They wanted to move him into the nickel spot, and he hasn't been able to get any work in there. So I don't. Can you bring him back on the practice squad? Does somebody else want to get him? I don't know. I think he's a bubble guy right now, though, on that one. So I am going to hop out of here. We're right at an hour. I appreciate everybody being here. We have lots of super chats coming today, including Curtis getting us started, Sam a couple of times, Rusty Moore, appreciate it. I know Rusty's not feeling too great. He's a jaded old Falcons fan too. Trenton coming in and Jet Jones, obviously. Thank you so much for helping to keep these lights nice and bright and this forehead nice and shiny. Don't forget, Tuesday evenings, we got Tuesday shows now too, 6 o'clock. The Falcons Podcast with Garrett Chapman. We'll be back on Wednesday. Thursday will be Garrett again. And then Friday, we got Dallas Cowboys. And then the next time that the Falcons suit up will be against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in week 1. And we've got college football to help satiate us that weekend before that. So, y'all, it's almost here. It's almost football season. I know a lot of y'all are college football fans too, and that starts up next weekend as well. So it is almost here. We've made it. We're just about out of here. On that note, I hope y'all have a great rest of your week. Stay cool out there, everybody. It's been hot. Stay hydrated. We'll see you next time.